Over the last 40 years, the United States has been exposed to something that our biology was never intended to handle. Energy-dense, highly palatable, rapidly absorbable, ultra-processed foods that have altered our metabolism and have resulted in the greatest increase in chronic disease in our history. Type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, hypertension, abnormal lipids, fatty liver, heart attacks, stroke, heart failure.
From our food.
From our food.
It's a shame. It's a shame that we've gotten to this position where we're eating stuff that is essentially not food. Like when you call something processed food, it almost should be removed from a food category. Processed foods have destroyed us. They've killed us. They've made us diseased. All these things that he's talking about. When you compare the things that we were eating since the Food and Drug Administration combined their efforts to create processed foods, all of the things in the middle of the supermarket that doesn't go bad, that doesn't spoil. We chose convenience over our health. We chose the convenience of being able to put something in the pantry that won't go bad for a while, rather than going to the store every day. In all of these situations that we look at, it seems like we constantly choose convenience and instant gratification over our health. We prioritize all of these other things. Oh, we need more time to do what? Oh, I got to make more money. All these things that we prioritize over our health. And then when we end up where we're struggling with obesity, struggling with high blood pressure, hypertension, all these different things, dying early, spending so much money on healthcare and still dying early compared to a lot of the other countries that are aligned with us. It's a problem. It's a problem. But let's take a look at how we got here. Let's take a look at the connection between processed foods and the Food Administration and Big Pharma. And maybe this is why we get the term of the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA. Think about how, crazy that is that the Food and Drug Administration is working together. And perhaps they should. Perhaps the Food and Drug Administration should work together. But let's just hear me out on this. That would be based on them being decent human beings. And what I mean by that is, let's say, okay, the food that we're eating, if they were being honest and feeding us good food rather than processed food in order to make a profit off of the medicine that they then provide to us because we're unhealthy based on the food that we're eating, things could possibly be different. If we had healers that weren't so fixated on drugs and were fixated more so on maybe some of the Eastern medicines or some of the herbs and the natural remedies to heal, then it would make more sense for food, which is natural and can be seen as medicine and healing, to work hand in hand with people telling us how to heal based on the herbs and based on the other natural remedies. But clearly, that's not the position that we're in, because in this great American capitalist society that we're living in, all that matters is money, right? Once again, it's not the system. It's the people that are running the system that once they're corrupted in any system, regardless of what it is, it messes up things for the people. So let's take a look at this connection. So the connection between the food industry, big food, and the pharmaceutical industry, big pharma, is a highly scrutinized economic, institutional, and regulatory relationship, often described by health critics as a profit-driven feedback loop. A profit-driven feedback loop. I think that's a interesting way of putting it, but I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, it's definitely a feedback loop. We eat BS, and then our body gives us feedback of getting sick, getting diseases, and then the pharmaceutical companies, they take advantage of this feedback and they create something that is not going to necessarily heal us, but just manage our symptoms. So then we become dependent on big pharma rather than doing what we should be doing, which is avoid all the instant gratification of processed foods and quick meals and microwave dishes, and actually have raw, it doesn't have to be raw, real food, I should say. But if you end up in a bad position, raw food may be something that you turn to. Look up the alkaline and all this other stuff that has shown that it can heal. Isn't that surprising that nature can heal us? That's kind of crazy, right? Crazy concept that what God provided us, what the universe has provided us, it actually can. We actually can heal ourselves with the things that God provided us, and somehow we allowed man to make these man-made products that they can actually benefit from when we are sick. That seems to fall in line with a lot of the other things that these oligarchs and the establishment and the powers that be want us. They want us fearful. They want us scared. They want us sick. They want us vulnerable, right? And then connecting the whole vulnerable thing, that's what they want the men. So if you make the men more vulnerable and more susceptible for injury, and they're the leader of the family, oh, wait, but we stopped making them the leader. So then the family would be more vulnerable. But even if you do have a male leader there, then they're still going to be vulnerable. So let, let me just stay on topic, all right? Big pharma connected to the food industry. Let's keep going. So the primary connections spanning these two massive industries highlight how they interact. The sick and cure economic loop. So the most prominent connection is the underlying economic dynamic between the products big food sells and the treatments big pharma manufactures. So the cause. Big food companies rely heavily on highly profitable, ultra-processed foods engineered with precise ratios of salt, sugar, and fat designed to encourage overconsumption. The drug. So now we get it. Now we get it. Now it makes sense why, like the tobacco industries, I believe we'll take a look at that maybe as well, were connected to the processed food industry. They made something addicting, right? When it came to the cancer sticks or whatever you want to call them, cigarette sticks, whatever, right? You got to call if you're going to call those cancer sticks, maybe call these processed foods cancer food. But neither here nor there. So let's look at this. The health crisis. Diets heavy in these ultra processed foods are scientifically linked to a surge in chronic conditions. That's what the gentleman was talking about on the video, like type 2 diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and cardiovascular diseases. My question is, where are the doctors? Where are the doctors? And I think we did a challenge the other day. Ask your doctors, whether it's your cardiologist, whatever doctor you go to that's prescribing you medicine. Ask them what are the natural remedies. And if they don't know of them, that means they probably never researched them. Ask them what natural element, herb, whatever else they used to create the man-made drug that they're prescribing you. If they don't have that information, then why are you listening to them? Why do they have credibility? You're going to somebody to heal you that only has a specific set of instruments that they can use to heal. And that specific set of instruments is provided by Big Pharma. Somebody that clearly doesn't care about your health, that wants you sick, so therefore they can profit on your sickness. And that's who we trust. So once again, where are the doctors? Why are we not holding our doctors accountable? This reminds me of the politicians. We're just so used to not holding anybody accountable, where people could just be in these high-ranking positions. Nobody holds them accountable because what? The fear of the other party is so bad that, hey, we just go with this, or the fear of you actually working out and eating healthy. That fear, the accountability that comes with that, we're so scared of that we'd rather still listen to these people that clearly do not have our best interests at heart. I'm not even going to sit here and say that they're bad people, but they are clearly lazy or cowardly in a lot of ways, because either they don't know the information and they're naive about it, ignorant, or they know it, but they're just too cowardly to take a stand. I guess that Hippocratic oath doesn't mean much. Let's keep it moving. Speaking of, I thought about that Patrick Bet-David book, and I'm not really off Patrick Bet-David lately. Like Patrick Bet-David moves with a very weird energy, weird energy. Yeah, but he had a book that I read called "Choose Your Enemies Wisely," and how it's important for, especially an entrepreneur, somebody fixated, purposeful, to choose your enemy wisely. And the benefit in choosing your enemy wisely is because sometimes we gotta declare war on what we're up against. And it maybe means a little bit more than what we're for, but what problem are we solving? Who's directly causing that problem? I've chosen my enemy. I've chosen my enemy. We'll leave it there. That'll be another video that we dive into that, but let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Where are we on this? Where are we? So the fix, Big Pharma generates a vast majority of its revenue by producing medications to manage these exact lifetime conditions such as insulin. What is that? Statins, that word? Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Statins, blood pressure medications, and modern GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic. It's funny that they have the Ozempic one on there because growing up in Montclair, New Jersey, excellent school system. One of the things that I noticed that my mom, she sent it to me the other day, I think I mentioned it on a previous video, is that the teachers were now experiencing like a 34% hike in their health insurance. And the number one thing that led to it was all these GLP-1 drugs. So they hike up the price of these GLP-1s because they know that people are still going to have the demand for them. They cost so much more money here than in other countries because we're the out of shape, unhealthy country, right? So therefore, they know that there's going to be a demand. They also know that there's this sense of instant gratification that we yearn for, taking the easy way out, using the microwave technology. We want something, we want it now. That's why we get all these BBLs. That's why we'll turn to GLP-1s and disregard all the negative health effects that it causes because it's going to get us maybe somewhat of a result that, and somewhat of a result is better than us not doing anything because we're too lazy to get up and work out. We're too lazy to look into some of the things that we can adjust in our diet that's going to make us healthier and get our goals the real way. And when you, to each their own, to each their own. What I really wanted to point out on this is that right here, there's shared ownership. The line between a food conglomerate and a health company is often blurred through corporate acquisitions and shared investments. Think about it from this standpoint. Major institutional asset management firms like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are the top shareholders in both major food companies like PepsiCo and Nestle and major pharmaceutical giants like Pfizer and Merck. Let me highlight that for y'all right there. What else do you need to see? What else do you need to see? It's the same owners. Follow the money. And even, once again, if they were healing us and we had the healthiest population in the world, when we compare ourselves to other like countries, then that would be a different story. But we're failing. We're spending the most on healthcare and getting the worst results. We're dying earlier than most of these other countries that are similar to us. So when you have bad leadership that is failing, look, it's not personal. We just need to replace this particular group and we need to get another group. Now, is that likely? Of course not, because they own it. But what we can do is smarten up because as Patrick Bet-David always says, you got to read the market. It's the market. It's the market. So we as the market, we get the customers, I should say, we impact the market. So if they're not selling processed foods, do you think that they're going to continue to make more or less of it? Now, they may try to up the ante when it comes to making it more addicting, putting more salt and sugar and other drugs in it. But it's still on us. It's still on us to manage our diets, to manage what's healthy for us, to look out for our kids and not get them addicted to a lot of these foods that these big food and big pharma companies want us addicted to. So let's take a look at this. Healthcare sub-brands. Food giants frequently operate medical, nutrition, or consumer health divisions. Food giants frequently operate medical, nutrition, or consumer health divisions. For example, Nestle Health Science manufactures both medical tube feeding formulas and specialized gastrointestinal therapies, actively bridging the gap between diet and medicine. This is crazy. This is crazy, but do your own due diligence. It's right here. They have the same owners. They benefit when you're sick. So therefore, they're going to expedite that process because then they can sell you more addicting substances when it comes to whatever medicine that they're prescribing. So they get us addicted on the BS food that's going to cause all these problems with our health. And then they get us addicted on the BS that's going to supposedly solve our issues. So with all that said, it's on us. It's on us to make the decisions. It's on us to be responsible and to care more about our own health rather than other companies that benefit from us being unhealthy. So on that note, I'll let y'all go. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I shall see y'all on the next video. Send to a friend. Send to a friend. Send to a friend, and let's have this conversation, because we need to wisen up when it comes to this area, because our lives are on the line. I'll see y'all soon.